Good morning, everybody. The Property and Investment Executive Subcommittee. On Wednesday, the 10th of December, here at the Luttrell Room in County Hall. It is only subcommittee members present in the room who are taking decisions at this meeting. Anyone else in attendance is here to provide advice. Agenda and papers have been published on the Council's website, and a recording of the meeting will be published in due course. So today's meeting will be hybrid format. So those subcommittee members in the room will be those who make the decisions. Other elected members and officers are either here in the room or remote to speak on specific agenda items, or they might just be observing. It is being broadcast. Other members of the public and partners can observe the meeting remotely. And if you are online, please only use the chat function for purposes of the meeting. If you wish to speak, please use the hands up function people. Otherwise, a comment in the chat and we'll get to you. If you are speaking, could you just say your name first? Only speak at my invitation. Otherwise, as the microphones off, please. Apologies for So Councillor Mike Rigby is being substituted by Councillor Heather Shearer. Okay, thank you very much. We can note that one, please. We have 3 sets of 12 minutes to approve. 15th of July. Any comments or questions on those? Okay, 6th of October. And 27th of October. Everyone happy with all 3? That's proposed Liz Lyshawn, seconded by Richard Wilkins. I'm assuming I'll have to take them on block. Those in favour, those against, that's clearly carried. Declarations of interest. Not seeing anybody indicating. Have any public questions today? We have no public questions. So the Property Investment Executive Subcommittee Forward Plan. So this is to note the forward plan. Are there any comments or questions on that? No, we'll be with that. And we move on to item 6, the review of the performance indicators, the investment portfolio and main risks to the programme, which is on pages 33 to 50 of our hymn sheets. And can I please invite Mr. Robert Orrett to introduce the item?
Chair, this is our regular quarterly report, provides support for the subcommittee role of monitoring commercial investment portfolio performance. There is an established set of performance indicators which are subcommittee. I'm just going to talk about the highlighted elements. Total contracted annual rental income, 1.9% worse than Q1 of this financial year due to several specific adverse changes in rents mitigated by one. Total voids level across the portfolio has improved by 4.5% from 1, with the new letting being the main change. And overall rental arrears have improved with management approach continuing to encourage tenants to settle these. Overall portfolio weighted average unexpired lease term has improved marginally compared. This is the normally adopted indicator for income security in an investment portfolio. And then there's a chart at chart 1, which shows overall progress with proposals from the portfolio. Progress in the last financial year now has been separated out in a block that was well ahead of the overall needs from that year. The estimate for this financial year is a further 33.725 million of sales. Most of this is already achieved or under offer. There is a confidential appendix with several tables that provide data by individual asset if members wish to discuss those.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert. Are there any comments or questions? That report. seeing anything from any lead members in the room. Anybody on from Councillor Wakefield's? Just what beat me to the going outside.
I was just going to ask, and I don't know whether you can do this in open session or not, whether there are any particular concerns we should be worried about with the state of play, as it were. You know, whether we are moving forwards on most of the sales, and whether there's going to think the hiccups that, I mean, you've said you think that we might achieve them by the end of the financial year, although we're not hopefully pushing to do that in a situation where it means that the buyer gets any sort of advantage.
So I would say we're carrying on as we've been able to approach it, which is a kind of a determined but steady approach that is consciously avoiding any indication of desperation. So, for example, later in this meeting, we will give you a guide on the next group of assets to come forward. But although there are 5 or 6 potentially to hit the market at the same time, we absolutely won't. They won't be launched on the same day. They'll be spread out, and they're not made obviously coming from Somerset Council either. So we put them out there. That the market is pretty weak overall. So I guess in the real estate consultant world, the transactional people like to always be very positive about, you know, if it's not great now, it's going to be quite soon. And they have been saying that for a long time. And if anything, it's got a bit worse this year because the US tariffs issue has hit world economies. The UK budget situation hasn't helped. So volumes in the market are weak. But the sales that we've taken forward, we've been patient with, and in fact we have literally today engrossments on 2, so the legal documents on 2 sales, one of which is our largest remaining asset. So all being well, we will be executing that now, and we should exchange it on Friday, and the buyer is very keen. And Councillor Wakefield, you will know that a number of buyers require to do things before the end of a calendar year, so there is a bit of pressure in finishing. So we're feeling for this year pretty good. And the approach of balance, we had a sale a few months ago of something that went really quite badly when we put it out in the middle of last year, and we didn't consider the dismal offers that we had was something. So we didn't completely take it off the market, but we didn't try very hard. And with some patience, eventually, 2 bidders came forwards at really quite decent prices, and we were able to conclude with the higher of those. So it's kind of working fine in not the easiest of circumstances, and we've still got quite large numbers of properties to kind of move around. So if something feels like it's not getting traction in the market, we can just hold back a bit and go with something else for the time being.
Come back. And my understanding is that this market that we're in, which, as you described it as weak, it's certainly not charging away. I mean, if it was a good market, we'd be saying we'd do the deal, exchange within 14 days and all the rest of it. But you can't do that anymore. And the other thing is, it's the due diligence is beyond everything. I mean, they are going to turn over every stone, because everybody knows that you can't ask questions after you exchange contract. You've got to do it before. And now it's let's ask every question under the sun. Let's get some insurance in place. I'm understanding that from you, that that's the way the market's working, which it makes it really tough, actually. And from what I understand about the properties we've been selling and the ones you've got in the market now, they're generally clean enough to get that together. Because if it's, you know, if there's a big thing that comes up, you just think, right, we've got to take that off, find a solution, and then put it back on again. And that's not happening too often, I don't.
No. What you say about the approach is right. I mean, it is still the case that I think the investment market is a different character from most other property markets. So bidders mostly say that they will exchange within, let's say, 15 days. They seldom do, is the answer, because actually, until you can answer their questions, and there will be at least hundreds of questions on a complicated matter. So it is extremely time consuming, and my colleague at the end, Charlie, keeps very patient and gets across the information. We do prepare very, very well before we even go out, but you cannot imagine the craziness of some of the questions, and frankly, the buying side, they don't really try that hard. So they ask you questions about things you've already given them the information. Anyway, we could go on all day. It's going okay, I think, is the summary, and the original question about particular risks. It's not risk-free, and I'm sure the 151 officer would kind of describe risk differently. For those of us that this is our professional world, it's in the normal risk area. It's property investment, and the view is that that's a risk area that we don't really want to be in.
Just following up on that. So, I mean, my understanding is having that larger portfolio of properties to work with puts you in a far stronger position that you can not necessarily take things on and off the market, but concentrate more on various things, and it becomes much it's much more manageable, even though it's more properties in effect from our point of view, and getting the best getting the best value for money as a result of the fact that you've got more to play around with. Would that be a fair assessment?
It would be, yeah. Definitely having a largish portfolio, and although they're all separate properties, they are all of a type. So I would say that colleagues who are dealing with estate asset disposals, frankly, have a tougher job than we do, because no two assets are the same. Getting the data room together for them may be difficult because we've owned it since 1963 or something, and our records may not be as good. Everything we've got has been bought in the last 6 years. There was pretty decent due diligence done by the different district councils, so we brought them in quite good shape. Yes, the most picky buyers will still think of 50 annoying things to look at, but we get to the end of them, and I think it is fortunate, because we've needed this relatively rapid pipeline of disposals, but we still have the flexibility.
I think that's everybody on the subcommittee. Just open up to other members who are all online. Is anyone indicating, please? All quiet. Okay. Recommendations there, is it? Okay, so we've got two recommendations: to note the performance indicators for the individual assets set out in tables 1 and 3, and to note the progress that's been made with disposal shown in table 2. I'll see a proposer, please. Councillor Wakefield, seconded Councillor Shearer. Those in favour, those against, that is clearly carried. And so we move on to item 7. Which is our key decision report on the disposal of investment properties, which is on pages 51 to 64. And note that pages 51 to 52 are public, 55 to 56 are confidential. I'm not sure what happens to 53 and 54, but that's what's in my notes. They're partially secret, I guess. Brendan, I believe that you're introducing this item.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, in line with your guidance at the start, Brendan Fisher. I think you've got to say your full name, have you not? That was your guidance.
My apologies, Brendan. Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
The council's recently reaffirmed its commitment to the rational and orderly sale of the assets comprising the commercial investment property portfolio. We reported to the 18th of November 2025 that 22 assets had been sold, bringing in revenues of 101.6 million. 26 assets with a total market value of 99.4 million remained unsold at that point. To update, on the 21st of November, we completed the sale of 430 Bristol Business Park for £3.7 million, which is £950,000 more than market value. This latter sale provides a good example of officers working to achieve the best price reasonably obtainable by exerting pressure in the right manner, negotiating and not being under time restriction. Achieving the best price reasonably obtainable remains a key objective for the council, which is why properties are kept under constant review and asset management is undertaken to maximise values. In this meeting, we're happy to follow up on our briefing on individual assets, discuss timescales for disposals programme and provide guidance on risk and mitigation. However, in order to discuss any of these matters, we would recommend that we move into confidential session.
Thank you, Brendan. Is there any questions that anybody wants to ask in public session? Okay, are there any questions that people want to ask in private session? Okay, in which case we need to pass a resolution. Under Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 to exclude the press and public from the meeting on the basis that they were present during the business to be transacted, there would be a likelihood of disclosure of exempt information within the definition provided by Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. The reason for information related to the financial or business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. Proposed Councillor Lyshawn, seconded Councillor Wakefield. All those in favour? All those against? Thanks. Clearly carried.